Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the nurse that was working alongside Amber Heard some near 10 years ago, 8 in some instances. So bear with her memory. She does say, I don't recollect on some instances, but I do have a vague recollection. So I think that's important, and I've also done my best to level out the audio because it was awful. This is from a video deposition which is used as a witness. This nurse directly contradicts anything that the brand new psychologist has stated, which I think is important because this brand new psychologist, which was Amber Heard's first key witness, is one, well, reading from a script, you can clearly see that. Secondly, is assessing Amber Heard now. There's a big difference between near 10 years ago versus now. And also, between both instances, both times, these are self-reports by Amber Heard. So this nurse is reporting what Amber Heard is telling her, and then same as this psychologist yesterday when she testified, Amber said this, Amber detailed this. So it's quite important how these stories have changed and how one directly contradicts one another. Amber Heard has had a very lengthy time to come up with a change of pace, shall we say. So I thought you'd find this interesting. It also, it literally outlines Amber Heard told her, this nurse, that she has issues with bipolar disorder, anxiety, eating disorders, etc., which was a massive contradiction yesterday to the brand new psychologist that was like, no, there's nothing like that at all. So it's interesting. I will love to see it when this gets pulled up and we get Dr. Shannon Curry back on the stand to obliterate biased witnesses' testimony.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Are we ready to continue with the witness on deposition?
Yes, Your Honor. The remaining portion of the deposition video of Aaron Filati will include the questioning by counsel for Mr. Depp.
All right. Thank you.
Do you have any professional responsibility to report or document suspected physical abuse of one of your patients?
If I witness or find out information of domestic or child abuse, yes.
And so what is that responsibility?
I need to notify superiors of the information I was provided with.
When did you first meet Ms. Heard?
I believe it was the end of, excuse me, hang on one sec. Oh, I have it here. It looks like August 27th, 2014.
Okay, so can we please pull up the nursing notes, which I believe are Exhibit 2? Okay, I'd like to, while we have this document up, I'd like to go through this section that's called client history. Do you see what I'm referring to?
Yes.
Was the information in this paragraph self-reported to you by Ms. Heard?
I just have a quick moment to review that and then I can answer that question.
Certainly.
Thank you. So to answer that question, I believe this was information given to me from Ms. Heard. I'm not positive, but I can say that anytime I refer or begin a sentence with client states or client reports, those I can confirm, I received that information from the client. As far as in totality, I would assume most information came from Ms. Heard, but I can't rule out that I didn't get any information from the treating physician in preparation either.
And I think you, would this information have been relayed to you at that first meeting with Ms. Heard?
This information, if it was information I received from Dr. Kipper, I would have had that information probably prior to meeting her. But anytime that I said states and I can confirm that I got that information, I would assume that it was sometime within the first day or two of meeting her, because I usually take a client history when I meet a client.
Go down a couple more sentences. It says, AH reports history of substance abuse, including an addiction to cocaine and liquor. CT client reports abstaining from cocaine for a couple years, but was unable to report exact dates. Do you see that? Do you see that where I'm referring to?
Yes, I see that.
And that's something that you would have written?
Yes.
Okay. And this is also information that you believe Ms. Heard would have reported directly to you?
Again, I don't have specific recollection of this, but I would have to refer to my notes that says the client reports it. So the assumption would be made that she provided me with that information.
So it goes on to say, CT does not smoke cigarettes. She reports consuming 1 to 3 glasses of red wine each day. Do you see that?
Yes.
And again, this is based off of your notes, something that Ms. Heard reported to you, correct?
Again, I don't recall the specifics of that. I would refer again that in that particular sentence you're referring to, I used the verbiage of she reports, meaning Ms. Heard reports. So I would make the assumption that she reported that information to me.
In the time that Ms. Heard was your patient, do you recall seeing her consume wine?
Yes.
Is this self-report of 1 to 3 glasses of red wine each day consistent with your recollection?
I don't recall her drinking red wine every time I saw her, so I can't confirm that each time I saw her, she would drink 1 to 3 glasses. I don't recall her drinking every time I saw her.
Did you ever see Ms. Heard appear intoxicated from drinking alcohol?
I don't recall her being intoxicated.
Okay, so moving on to the next sentence here, it says she reports a familial history of substance abuse. Both mother and father have abused and become dependent on stimulants, methamphetamine, opiates, and alcohol. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
And the she here, it refers to Ms. Heard?
That's correct.
Okay. So this is also something that Ms. Heard reported to you as far as your notes reflect?
Again, I don't have specific recollection of this. It appears that she did report that, but I don't remember.
So a couple sentences later here, it says, client admits to history of anxiety, eating disorder, attention deficit disorder, bipolar disorder, codependence issues, and occasional insomnia. Do you see that sentence?
Yes.
And based off of this note, and specifically the language that says client admits, you believe that this is something that Ms. Heard would have reported to you?
As you stated, because it says client admits, I would make that assumption.
What do you recall Ms. Heard saying about her history of anxiety issues?
I don't recall specifics. As I stated earlier in the morning, I remember a general anxiety with many issues in her life.
What do you recall Ms. Heard telling you about her codependence issues?
I have vague memory of discussing codependence issues within previous relationships. I couldn't give you specifics on that. I just sort of have a vague memory of discussing that.
Do you have any non-specific recollections of Ms. Heard being angry or enraged?
Other than that time that I spoke about in London 2014, I didn't specifically witness anger and rage from Ms. Heard.
The next sentence here says her mood has been labile. Am I pronouncing that correct?
Yes.
So first of all, what does that mean?
Emotional lability is typically when emotions swing on a pendulum. You know, for example, you may see someone very sad at one moment and quickly transition to extreme happiness. It sort of swings from, like I said, sort of a pendulum.
Now, I'd like to direct your attention to a sentence in the middle of this entry. It says, RN and CT discuss CT's history and current relationship. CT reports difficulty with jealousy, issues, and anxiety around fiance's fame and ability to interact with females often. Did I read that correctly? And that's a note that you wrote, correct? Do you recall Ms. Hurd expressing the sentiment to you?
Again, like we discussed earlier, I don't recall that specifically. I do have a general sense of jealousy, anxiety issues popping up throughout the years, but I don't remember that specific discussion to give you anything deeper than that.